Welcome back to the latest episode of the Fourth and Gold NFL podcast. We're on the eve of another off-season milestone, the release of the schedule. These little mental milestones, we're getting through the off-season. Before you know it, it's going to be September. Before we get to that, Paul, as always, I've got a trivia question for you. Let's see how you get on. So, in the last 5 seasons, I want to know how many of the top 5 most passing touchdowns you can name by quarterback. So the question is, top 5 quarterbacks, most passing touchdowns. And I will give you 3 wrong answers.
In each season or combined?
Combined.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you've got to factor in health.
Factor in health, yep.
Yeah. Right. I'll go with one. I'm not certain that he's there, but I have a feeling that he might be there. Is Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott is number 6.
Wow. Okay.
So
Health.
just to give you some, a bit of a measuring stick, he has 137 passing touchdowns in 70 games.
Okay. So just under 2 a game. Average. Right. I'll say Mahomes. Mahomes will be there.
Mahomes is number 2, 153 touchdowns in 80 games.
Stafford.
Stafford is number 5, 141 in 74 games.
Goff.
Goff is number 3, 149 in 82 games. So you need number 1 and number 4.
So Josh Allen, you've got to factor in that he rushes a few. I think he still might be there, but that's a concern. This has got me thinking this question. Lamar rushing touchdowns as well. Got to consider that. I would have said Cousins, but he hasn't played. He still might be in there, but I'm not going to say Cousins. Wow, this is a tough question. Darnold, he hasn't been a starter for 5 years consecutive, so rule out Darnold.
So just to point out, you have made 4 guesses, and you've named 4 of the top 6. You've only got 1 outside the top 5 so far. So trust your gut.
That was a hint in there somewhere. I think 2 is a shout as well because their offense was very explosive. But then you kind of look stupid if you guess 2 and he's wrong. So I will say Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is number 1.
Wow.
153 passing touchdowns in 84 games.
Wow. More than Mahomes. You just factor in like the receiving core isn't elite and he rushes for quite a few touchdowns. And James Cook has turned into an elite back in the last couple of years. That surprised me, but I thought he might be below. I thought he might be 7 or something. So wow, that's shocking.
He's played 4 more games than Mahomes.
Yeah. I guess what? I don't think Allen's missed the game, has he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless it's like end of season. Even then, maybe he's missed like 1 or 2 where the Bills were locked up in the playoffs. So we'll take a week off.
Okay, so who did I just run through? Cousins I ruled out. Stafford I ruled out. No, not Stafford, sorry. Darnold I ruled out. Tua, I don't think it's Tua. It might be Tua. It could be. Uh, West. No Broncos quarterback, and we've had the Chief, and it's no Raiders quarterback. I'm missing an obvious one in the same division as Mahomes. I don't, but I don't think it is. Okay, because I've got two more guesses. So as I've got two guesses, I think it's either Herbert or Tua. And
I'm,
I'll
I'm gonna I'm gonna give you a clue if you get your next guess wrong.
okay. That's implying that I will get this guess wrong based on those two. So ASU, oh, of course, as well. And I'm missing Joe Burrow, but then he's not been healthy the whole time. But when he is healthy, he would be number one if he was healthy. How many games has Burrow missed over a 5-year period? I mean, he missed a whole year. Was that 5 years ago?
I think has he been in the league? Because that was his rookie year.
Yeah.
But he's the last few years he's missed games here and there. He
Oh,
missed a lot last year.
yeah. I won't say Burrow. I will go. I'll go Justin Herbert.
It's not Justin Herbert. Herbert was seventh, so he had 132 in 80 games. So I will give you this clue. Josh Allen has played 84 games. This quarterback has played 17 less.
Right. So they weren't healthy. They weren't fully healthy. So based on that, it's Joe Burrow.
It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has thrown 9 less passing touchdowns than Josh Allen, albeit with a great supporting cast. But for him to have missed 17 or played 17 less games, can you imagine if he'd been healthy?
Yeah. Well, most explosive offense in the league.
Yeah, yeah.
So he must have been in the league. He must be heading into
Like
year.
year 7, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he fully, as you said, he fully missed pretty much his whole rookie year. I think he made one or two starts and then he was done.
Maybe a few more than that, but yeah, I feel like he missed like 10 games.
Yeah.
And last year he missed, what was it, 2 months, 2.5 months? That was maybe longer. So he missed a ton of games last year.
You have the full list there.
I've got down to 12. So Tua was 11th.
Really?
Cousins was 12th. You mentioned Lamar. Lamar was 9th. So the only two you didn't mention at 8 was Baker Mayfield.
Mhm.
And number 10, I think this is more, earlier in this 5 years, Aaron Rodgers.
Right, yeah. Okay. So of the guesses I made, yeah, I got Dak was number 6, and again Dak health and Herbert 7. Those are my two wrong guesses.
Yeah, I mean, Dak's only played 70, and he was only 4 touchdowns off Stafford. So he played four games less, had 4 less touchdowns.
Okay, so 1 to 5 is Allen, Mahomes.
Goff, Burrow, Stafford.
Right, okay. Wow. Interesting question. That was a good one.
Yeah. And you smashed it, really.
Well, you have to factor in the health. That's what, because I would just immediately go Burrow, but then I think, yeah, you helped me out with that 17 games missed. It's like, yeah, it would have been Burrow would be number one, but
Yeah.
he plays behind the Cincinnati offensive line.
But as you said, I mean, Allen number 1, it's not even factoring in all the rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, you know. Iron Man has, yeah. I don't think he's missed a game. Well, maybe like one or two, like I said in week 18. But other than that, he's been super durable.
Yeah, I can think Mitch Trubisky started one. I remember him starting one end of season game, but
That Patriots game that screwed the Patriots out of their pick.
yeah, yeah, that was it. But yeah, I don't. You only know, I only know that Mitch Trubisky is the Bills' backup because he played that game. But apart from that, you wouldn't know who is the Bills' backup because they're never asked to suit up. They're never called into action.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And his play style as well, the way that he puts himself in danger, and he still is out there every week. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's special though. Josh Allen to be number one. Like, he's you think not passing touchdowns, yeah, overall touchdowns. I get
yeah.
you straight away, Josh Allen, but passing touchdowns, you're like, I don't know. He runs it in a lot. And James Cook and his receivers, the narrative is he doesn't have the receivers, but credit to him.
I'm gonna have to study like who these touchdowns have been thrown to. I'm guessing it's a lot of, well, there's going to be some to James Cook and the running backs, probably a lot to the tight ends, but I'll be interested to see like who's been the most productive receiver in those 5 years from a at least from a touchdown point of view.
That would factor in the Diggs period, though.
Ah, the Diggs period, yeah.
Yeah.
So outside of Diggs, it's probably going to be Gabe Davis,
No, it
maybe.
can't be Gabe Davis. I mean, he only turned up, didn't he, in big games and play.
One big game, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was like missing, and then he'd turn up for like three touchdowns, 200 yards in like one game. You're like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm gonna look that up. I'm curious now. Outside of Diggs, like who is it?
Yeah.
Because it could just be a lot of tight end, running back, touchdowns.
Hmm. Yeah, and the Bills, Chiefs, and that Goff you would just get the tail end of Goff at the Rams, I think, in the last five.
Yeah, maybe like that first year.
Yeah, so and I know he was trash in his last year at the Rams,
Mm.
which is why they got rid of him. But still, like that Rams offense. I don't know if it would go back 5 years, that Rams offense. You remember like the Rams Chiefs game in LA,
Yeah,
like the 400-yard each passing game, him and Mahomes.
they still made it to a Super Bowl at the end of the day. So
Yeah, and then that explosive offense, what put up, was it 3 points on the Patriots?
yeah,
Wow. But still, Brandon Cooks missed that. Did Brandon Cooks who missed?
it was like a late throw to Cooks. Like if Goff had thrown it on time, it's a touchdown. Or I think it would have had a really good chance to be a touchdown.
Wow, great question, mate.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we move on to the schedule release. It is amazing how I still get excited by this. I've got to say, like, where these games are not happening for 6 months, and I'm here like, what's Thanksgiving? What's Christmas? What are the London games? So we're going to start there. We're going to start with the London games, and I thought what we would do is, let's rate them. Like, forget the kind of the all around. Like, just take them in a vacuum. The games themselves, the teams, the players that are involved. We'll give it a rating out of 5 stars. Okay, so quite simply, rating the 2026 London NFL games. The first game is Colts versus Commanders. I'm sorry, but I'm going to give this a 2-star rating. As much as I would love to see Jaden Daniels live, Jonathan Taylor live, outside of that, I'm looking at these teams, and in the NFL landscape, these are fairly mid teams. So I'm going to start with a 2-star rating for this one.
Just based on the Commanders quarterback, I'll give it 3 stars. I wouldn't be too excited about seeing the Colts
Mm.
But yeah, Jaden Daniels is a true superstar. And yeah, it's just a shame that he's on the Commanders. I mean, when you look back to his rookie year, like him taking them to the NFC title game, it's crazy. So let's hope he's healthy this year because the Commanders could shock some people if he's healthy because they're forgotten about. They're kind of slept on now. Like, oh yeah, the Commanders are back. That's really terrible again.
Yeah.
The quarterback wasn't healthy, and they made some questionable roster decisions on defense with older guys. But you remember when they made it to the NFC title game, the Commanders had an average roster and Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels. And
Yeah.
wow, true superstar talent can really take you there. I mean, going into the Lions, you remember they went into the Lions, the number one seed, and beat them in their house.
I mean, Daniels put on an absolute show in that game.
Yeah. So just based on Jaden Daniels, I'll give it a 3 star.
Okay, that's fair. Game two is going to be Eagles versus the Jaguars. I will give this a 4-star rating. The Eagles are loaded. Don't get it twisted based on their underachievement last year. This is an exciting roster, like on both sides of the ball. So, you think you've got Saquon, you've got Devonta Smith. We're going to see what Mekhi Lemon is going to give us. And then, I think the defense is more stacked than the offense, really, when you think of Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, that secondary with Cooper DeJean and Mitchell. This is a star-studded team. And of course, the Jaguars are, well, they started an ascension last year. Their offense is explosive. Their defense is aggressive. I think this could be a great game.
Yeah, it could be a great game. I'll give it 3 as well, just because Eagles games, at least last year, weren't great spectacles.
That's a good point.
In terms of competition, though, it is, true two teams who could make a run this year. The Eagles, you'd probably be more confident in because they've been there. But the Jags are really on the up now. And, they were favorites against the Bills in that playoff game. So you've got to think that the Jags will be in contention to win their division again. Will the Texans, who is CJ Stroud, if he's anything like his rookie year, then the Texans win that division. But if he's not and he still struggles, then the Jags could win the division. And then they're back in the conversation because they were a really favorite team of a lot of people last year. And there was no disgrace in that playoff defeat to the Bills because it came right down to the end. So, yeah, it's a great competitive matchup in terms of these are two really good teams, but in terms of a spectacle, because this is the traveling NFL roadshow, you kind of want to see a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a shootout with Philadelphia, so I'll give it 3 stars.
Yep, okay. I think they've saved the best till last. I don't think this will be a shootout, but I'm just looking at both teams. The Texans versus the Jaguars, an AFC South divisional game. I mean, I'm going to give this one 4 stars as well, although I think this is a better game than the Eagles Jaguars, mainly for the points you alluded to about Eagles games not being the most exciting to watch. But I'm just looking forward to seeing this Texans defense. Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, my guy in the second level at linebacker. The name is evading me. Ex-49er. The secondary,
Al-Shaair?
Aziz Al-Shaair, who they've just renewed. The secondary, they are up there with, as good as anyone. So the Jaguars have got 2 very difficult games coming up in London this year.
Yeah.
But being an AFC South divisional game, you know, I think this is a great game. I won't get into the politics of why we're having a divisional game overseas, but from just the spectacle, don't expect this to be a shootout. It could be, but I don't expect it to be. I'm just happy to see high quality teams, coming over.
I think the Jags might even have more of a home field advantage in London than they would if it were in Florida.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like you're giving up your home division game,
Mm.
but then you play in London twice every year and your opponent does not.
Exactly. And the second game, the Jags have won almost every game, I think, when they've played twice.
Yeah. But yeah, as I just mentioned, this could be a huge game because it could decide the division. Like this, I would, we're what, 4 months out from the regular season, but I would, if I were now, if you asked me to pick the winner of the AFC South, I'm picking one of these two.
Yeah.
Partly because of my lack of faith in the Colts and their quarterback play. But yeah, this could be huge. And this, you're right, I think this could be a defensive struggle and it could be a spectacle because you get more excited watching these games if it's division. Like Jags Eagles, yeah, great. They're two great teams, but they're out of conference. Like they're only going to meet once and then possibly in the Super Bowl. Doubtful, but possibly in the Super Bowl. These two will play each other twice and they know each other and yeah, and it means something. It really does. So yeah, this could be a really good game, and this kind of game I would enjoy watching. So I'll give it 4 stars.
Yeah. I think this is one for the old school, the purists that love defense as well. Like if you're only into shootouts, you might be disappointed here.
Yeah, like Trevor Lawrence could be very flustered in this, and that could be quite fun to watch. Not
Yeah.
for a casual fan, but the the person who's into NFL would be, wow, like look at how the Texans are lining up and look at how they're confusing Jags O line, the protections, and yeah, so there might not be loads of points, but it could be very, very fun to watch.
Same could be said on the opposite side with the way that the Jaguars attack and the questions that we have with CJ Stroud. He is going to be under some duress himself. So I think this could be a very, very interesting game.
Yeah, I'll take the under now, whatever it is.
So, I think I've been watching other other international games being announced, and I was thinking, man, are London going to draw the short straw again?
Mm.
And I'm pleasantly surprised by at least the two Jaguar games, I'd say. But to your point, you are getting a true superstar in Jaden Daniels. It's just I wish the team around him was a bit better as well.
Look, I'm kind of surprised that they have announced his schedule for London. It's a good schedule.
Mm.
Because let's face it, there's been some lesser than years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no more Jets Broncos. Just Jags Eagles, Jags Texans. And I just wonder if the Jags are involved, if they've sounded out the Jags about, look, we're thinking of inviting, I don't think they invite teams. I think they mandate teams to come.
Mm.
So we're going to tell the Texans to come. Are you okay with like giving up your home division game? I think the Jags would be involved in that conversation.
Mm.
I'm sure they would. Because it doesn't seem to, we've been over this before, but there doesn't seem to be a regular schedule of, right, a team's coming X amount of times in, say, a 5-year period. It seems to be a bit like scattergun.
Exactly. And the teams that don't want to go, it's glaringly obvious, a la the Packers, for example. And well, actually, the Cowboys, this will only be their, I want to say their second or third international game in Brazil against the Ravens. So yeah, I mean, if we move towards where I think we're moving towards, which is 16 international games a year, I would expect one team plays one game every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the way to go because at the minute, like it seemed a bit inevitable that we're heading that way. And I
There's
mean,
no system still. Yeah.
yeah, I don't like that you can get to the end of the year and you're, I know we've spoken about this, you're San Francisco and you're like, yeah, but damn, like our schedule, and then you're, say, 1 or 2 games out of contending for number 1 seed or whatever it might be. Like the 49ers are going to have a brutal travel schedule, and then it's going to be a team that hasn't left North America. And
here's going to be an experiment for you, or at least something to watch. Niners are traveling the most, 38,000 miles. Panthers are traveling the least, 8,000 miles. We're going to see, both teams' record. It'll be interesting to see.
yeah, I mean,
But I take your point. Like, we could get to the end of this regular season, and it's like the Rams might clinch, the division on the head-to-head because they beat the Niners in week 1 in Australia. That's where it's like we're pushing the line here.
yeah, if they could find a way, so if there was a schedule,
Yeah,
there's a regular schedule of, right, your team's going to go this amount in this period. Yeah, it seems that some teams get like the short end of the stick. And I don't know, like, and what countries are involved as well, because now we don't know what new countries are popping up each on a year-to-year basis.
Yep. It's going to be like testing the waters. They had Ireland, and oddly, they don't have Ireland this year. I would expect to see Ireland back. Now they're testing Australia, which is a massive test. There's a reason why the Rams and the Niners are the most traveled teams this year. The Rams are second because of that. So
Yeah.
I would like to see it, like I said in the past, all of these international games played in the first 10 weeks, even if you have to do 2 a week, all games interconference, and I'm good. I'm good with it. And actually, I want 2 bye weeks as well while I'm asking for things. Give me 2 bye weeks and an extra week of the season just to manage all of this, because the last thing we want is a ton of injuries and stuff like that, because we're not looking after the players.
Have every team going. Every team goes.
Yeah, every team goes.
And you have 2 bye weeks. Done.
Done.
The teams can't go, well, then you've kept the competitive integrity of the league. Because
exactly.
don't want is get to the end of the season and like Rams 49ers, you could call into question that Australia game. You're like, well, and then, we had the Jordan Love thing on the Brazil turf. Like, that wasn't good for anybody.
No.
So, yeah, just if you could eliminate the questions with trying to make it as balanced, and I think the way could be that every team has 1 international game each year, and then is a mandatory bye week after that. None of this like,
oh, we won't take it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah, you have the bye week. So then as well, and then the teams can't really, but I'm sure part of this is that they're pushing the limits as much as they can before the new CBA is agreed.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a limit. I don't think we've reached that limit now, because now what? Have we got 9, you said?
We've got 9, and obviously for the next CBA, and maybe even before then, the league is pushing for 18 games. Right. So I think if we go 18, you've got to bring in that second bye week and an additional week. So your season, to me, should be a 20-week season. Every team gets 2 bye weeks. There's plenty of games to spread over 20 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And that way it's as fair as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So, yeah, as part of this drip feeding of games that are being announced this week, we've pretty much learned the Thanksgiving schedule. And my goodness me, this might be the greatest Thanksgiving lineup I've ever seen. We're getting an extra game, Thanksgiving Eve, it's being branded as, on the Wednesday. And they are going full out for this. Packers at Rams to kick off, well, a pre-show for Thanksgiving. Great game, I think. Thanksgiving itself, it's been confirmed as Bears at Lions, Eagles at Cowboys, and the final game has not been confirmed, but it is being reported. It is Chiefs at the Bills. Mahomes, Josh Allen to headline Thanksgiving. If that is confirmed, that is an insane schedule. And then on Black Friday, again, unconfirmed, but reportedly we're getting Broncos Steelers. So 5 games across those 3 days. I'm excited. I gotta say, I'm pumped for that.
Yeah, that's a spectacular schedule. But everybody needs to be healthy. We need Mahomes to make it. We need Josh Allen to make it. We need Dak and Jalen Hurts to be healthy for those games. And yeah, that could be truly spectacular because they won't be able to flex out of it. When it's all locked in. Lions, Bears, like the early game as well. That's going to count for something, and they're 2 entertaining teams as well. Cowboys, Eagles, one of the great rivalries. We expect the Cowboys to be better. Like they've made moves on defense. Caleb Downs, best player in the draft, apparently. Who is he? We're going to find out. And then Chiefs, Bills. Wow.
Please let them be healthy. Please, because that lineup is insane. Because when in the past when the Bears weren't good and we've seen Bears at Lions, it's kind of like I've been excited all day and now I'm watching this game and I'm like, okay, I mean this is kind of stale, but it's Thanksgiving, so I'm happy to be watching NFL. But this really could be like unreal.
Yeah, the way the schedule goes is I'm often like just wrapping up work while it has been Bears Lions is on. It's on in the background, but because it's not a crazy game, I'm still working, but I'm still able to work. If it was a really engrossing game, work is not being done. But yeah, because then when that game's finished, just the way that the time zones work, like we can truly like settle in for the 9 o'clock game, which is 9 o'clock UK time, which is always the Cowboys.
Yep. So Eagles, Cowboys this year, man, like this has got a lot of potential. And I don't usually stay up for the final game, but I may have to make an exception this year.
Yeah, we may have to look at our holiday schedule and book that Friday. And I'm sure they've looked at it, like, because obviously Thanksgiving is a holiday but so then the Wednesday, like you said, the Packers Rams, that would be a Wednesday night game, so everybody would be on holiday mode.
Exactly.
Yeah, Packers Rams to get you sort of into the holiday.
I mean, I like what they've done as well because I think they've tried to take the weather out of it. Because if it had been Rams at Packers, there's always that risk that weather kind of ruins the game. So they've made sure we're going to have it in LA, perfect conditions for 2 offenses that can be explosive. So
yeah, Yeah, I don't think weather would be a factor. Like Thanksgiving, what you tail end of November.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if it was, is it Chiefs at Bills reported?
Chiefs at Bills, and I don't know if the Bills' new stadium isn't a dome, is it? Like it's still open.
It's got to be up open. They moved into a dome. That'd be stupid. That'd be crazy. They'd lose
Yeah.
like a lot of their home field advantage.
Yeah. So I suppose that's yeah. Buffalo weather in November probably fine. But I'm sure that's because that stadium is going to be a bit. I think the roof is going to come over a little bit at least. So with that crazy Buffalo snow at times, probably not an issue for November. But I'm sure they factored that in for playoff time.
Yeah.
Okay, so tonight we're going to learn more. We're going to get the full schedule, which is always interesting to see if you're going to get a tough start, one that's soft, but you get a gauntlet later on. Always fun to see. There's been some activity this week, like with players, like with extensions, with signings. So I thought we'd just do a quick rundown of what has happened. First one, the last surviving member of the Killer Bees, Chris Boswell, has been extended 4 years, 28 million. I think that basically puts him on par with Aubrey of the Cowboys. I mean, you can't put a price on a reliable top kicker. I've been through what I want to say is the Jake Moody experience. So I know full well that in a game of fine margins, a bad kicker can hurt you. Boswell is right up there for me. He's been doing this a long time now. He's right up there with your Justin Tuckers and your, I want to say, Harrison Butkers of the world. And you have to consider where he's kicking. Like, I don't want to dog the Steelers' field, but it's not the greatest. And his conversion rate is ridiculously high. Like, I think it's a percentage away from Tucker. So this is a great investment for me.
Yeah, he did have a lesser than year last year.
He had a
Com-
couple of wobbles. I remember one at Detroit. Yeah,
Compared to his very high standards,
yeah,
he has earned the money over his career, but we saw it with Tucker. You hope that it's not the decline now.
yeah. Because it's one of those like when you've got an elite kicker and they fall off, like Vinatieri, like it's almost like they literally fall off and they can't recover it.
Yeah,
So I suppose yeah, that is the risk. I'm thinking yeah, hopefully not.
yeah, he's earned the money over his career, but let's keep an eye on Boswell because last year was not his greatest year.
Fair.
But I love him. I love him. He's made some. I mean, week one, how long was that field goal to win it against the Jets when the Steelers were just running down the clock? They were they weren't even trying to gain more yards because they had Boswell warming up. I think it was 55 plus.
Yeah, he's proven to be clutch.
I need to look up that was because it might have been even more crazy than that. Boswell, I think it might look up Boswell game winner Jets. How long was it?
Oh wow, it was 60.
Right, I thought yeah, I had a feeling it was a crazy long kick, and the Steelers were just running down the clock. They weren't even like, oh, let's get a quick out. Let's let's make it let's make it a 52. No, we got Boswell. We're good.
And it was a true pressure kick because you were losing. Like if it's tie, like it's still a great kick if you make it,
Yeah,
but you've got that insurance of okay, well we can go to overtime. But it's like if you miss this, we lose to the Jets in week one, and the sky is falling. So
Fields, who played a great game by the way, Justin Fields, and then it kind of very quickly fell apart after that,
Yeah.
like really well. That was actually, yeah, that was obviously that was a long time ago, but that was a really good game.
Yeah,
Steelers
that was a crazy game.
week one.
Like you're thinking Steelers Jets 17-13, not a 60 point like crazy shootout.
Yeah, yeah. The rest of the season was not. We didn't have as explosive offenses both teams after that game.
Yeah, true that, true that. That's why you got to be careful in week one. Um, the next one, this is probably my favorite news of the week. It is the Chief David Njoku signing a 1 year deal with the Chargers. I can't believe that he had been at the Browns for 9 years. 9 years of misery is over. And I'm probably more excited about this one than the average fan. Certainly, the stats fans won't get this from me because the stats say, low production. But I like to factor in the situation. I don't think this has been a great situation. I've seen this guy live. I've watched him on film. You know, it tells a different story. I think that he can make plays. You
Yeah,
know, and now he's got a quarterback that can actually use him properly. I don't think he's going to be like a true out and out number one tight end for them. I think he's going to play a role because I don't think the Chargers are going to want to disrupt what Herbert had with Gadsden last year. But this guy, I think, can make big plays. He still can. I saw it in London last year with Dylan Gabriel throwing to him. He's still a yards after catch machine. He's trying to hurdle players. And one thing was clear to me about that game, seeing him live. He loves football. He loves being a football player. When the game starts, he's embracing the fans. You can see the joy exploding from his face. He just loves, being a football player. And that just tells you it's a great fit to put him in a team run by Jim Harbaugh. So I love this. I think he's still got plenty to offer.
yeah. You get me going, like, because I can hear and see the excitement that you have for this guy who has not played for your team. And yeah, I agree with you. You've got me into the David Njoku thing. I mean, because to me, before he was a rival in division, a tight end, but
Mm.
I had respect for him, but didn't fully appreciate his play. But having watched his play, yeah, he does make some great plays. And to to leave Cleveland to upgrade to LA, yeah, even just in terms of weather, lifestyle, is a huge upgrade. And he's deserved it. He's put in. I'm, I'm not going to get into Cleveland versus LA, but yeah, I think he would be happier in LA. I hope he'll be happier. He deserves it. And he's one of those players that you think that he could be very good if he's involved.
Yeah.
And the Chargers, the way that they're set up, like they went out in the draft and they drafted like what was it? O line, fullback, tight end. How do you think the Chargers are going to play football this year? They're going to run it right at you until you can stop it. And Njoku, yeah, like out of the backfield, like lined up, and then on play action, Njoku, yeah, with Justin Herbert, great quarterback. Yeah, he deserves this, and he could have some. He could be very good for the Chargers. So well done, Njoku.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here saying that he's going to be 1,000 yard tight end, but I just think he can give you situational advantages. Like he is a mismatch.
Yeah,
So
zone like play action run, red zone, big body. Everyone's playing the run, playing the Chargers. Yeah,
next up, This is another player that I am probably more fond of than most. Dante Fowler Jr. has signed with the Seahawks. The deal is worth up to 5 million. So I don't know what the base is, but that feels mighty cheap. I know he's up there in age, and I know he's just going to be a role player for them. But they lost Boy Maffei, who signed a 60 million 3-year deal with the Bengals. So what's the difference in production? I could see it not being that different, you know.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny. Apparently, Demarcus Lawrence was quite involved in this signing. He made the pitch to Dante Fowler, according to Dante Fowler, that come here, you can win a Super Bowl. And I look at their rotation. You know, we were sort of analyzing the Seahawks moves earlier in the year, sort of saying, yeah, they've lost this guy, they've lost that guy. They've replenished, I think, well, like in this regard, at edge. I don't see a weakness here. Like this is another experienced player with, you know, that can add to their depth. He's not being asked to be a starter, and I think there's still juice in the tank for him.
Yeah. And yeah, the Seahawks weren't going to pay Maffei that crazy contract. So yeah, they're just find good teams find a way to stay cap compliant and still maintain the overall talent that they have on defense. And this defense is really, really good. And yeah, I would I wouldn't be surprised if he has a great year like Lawrence had last year coming
Yeah,
at us. Because surrounded, like when it's not just you, it's you and all the other dudes, and they're all coming, and the way that they game plan, how aggressive they are, the Seahawks, how good their secondary is, meaning that they're like freed up to just go rush the quarterback and cause chaos. They're really well coached, and yeah, you can. It's just the kind of player that you can see having a revival like Lawrence did in Seattle.
yeah, I agree. I think it's a great fit. Like, you know, he will have one job, and you know that's what they want to do. Last signing, we kind of touched on it a couple of weeks ago, but it has happened now. Jauan Jennings has signed for the Vikings. I think that right wide receiver trio is up there with anyone now. Jennings had to settle for 8 million, rising to 13. The Niners did reportedly offer him 17. He wanted 20.
Wow.
I think he was badly advised. He probably should have taken the 17, but he's going to make plays here. If he is, well, I assume that he's listed, he has to be listed as wide receiver 3. That is a great option to have.
Absolutely. Like the amount of attention that Justin Jefferson and Addison are going to demand. And then you got Jennings, who's also going to help you in the run game.
Yeah.
Great move. And then you're looking at the Vikings like receiver core and you're like, wow, tell me a better receiver core in the NFL. Okay, you got the Bengals in terms of like top two, but you add Jennings to those two, and then the Vikings have all around. And Jennings is a receiver. Yeah, he's going to make big blocks in the running game. So, yeah, I love it for the Vikings. But who's playing quarterback for the Vikings?
Yep.
Murray. Who's Kyler Murray? So you can
We're
have
going to see. Yeah.
the receivers, but you know it's who's throwing you the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So that rounds up really the signings. There's been a few extensions this week. So starting off with Breece Hall signing a 3-year extension with the Jets. I think this puts him, I want to say, third overall, behind Barkley and CMC at around, I think it was 16 million per year. The Jets had to do this. The Jets don't have enough good players, and I'm a big fan of Breece Hall. I don't think he's like elite in any one area, but I think he's really complete. You know, you want him to run through the tackles, he can do that. You want him to run outside, he can do that. Pass, you know, catch out the backfield, make kind of semi-spectacular catches if need be. Like, he is a very, very good player, I think. And if you pay a bit extra, so what? The Jets need him there. And when you look at who else they've got on that offense, him, Garrett Wilson, potentially my man Sadiq the Freak at tight end, they've got a young group there. It's just, can the Jets put an offense together to really maximize what they can do?
What was his situation? Like, was he was playing on the option, wasn't he? Or was he tagged? Or because they were
He
going to,
was tagged. He was tagged.
right? Yeah, I knew he was in jeopardy because he was supposed to go to the Chiefs, wasn't he? And the Chiefs wouldn't cough up. Was it a third? They offered a fourth.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what was reported.
Okay. And then the Chiefs ended up paying Kenneth Walker all that money.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's worked out. Obviously, Breece Hall would probably rather be in Kenneth Walker's situation now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the Jets have to pay any talent that they have because they don't have a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, word is that the Jets had a really good draft. Okay, there's been a few those years lately where they've had a really good draft. It's time to turn that into wins.
Mm.
But yeah, makes perfect sense. He's, do you say he's third in?
That puts him in new money average third behind Saquon and CMC, who are, there's a gap. I think I want to say Saquon is at like 20 and McCaffrey's at 19, something along those lines.
Yeah,
So you're paying, those are hefty contracts for players that are now getting up there in age.
that is a lot for Breece Hall to be third highest salary in for his position in the NFL. I don't think he's that good, but the Jets didn't have a choice.
Exactly, exactly. And it kind of leads to this next one. Devon Achane signed a 4-year extension, similar amount. I think maybe actually Breece Hall is fourth because this still happened afterwards. So Achane, I think, may have just jumped the line with Breece Hall, but again, they had to do it. The Dolphins, I know they had this clearing out sale and got rid of a load of players, but Achane is their offense, has been their offense. He's only 24, and I think you said it when we last spoke about this. He basically turned into an every down back who gives you complete balance. He's elite in the pass catching game. He's elite running the ball. So I'm excited now because I know it's going to be a struggling year, but they've got the foundation of Willis and Achane now. So you build around that.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's been like a top 10 running back. What is it? 2, 3 years in a row, Achane.
Yeah.
But with Mike McDaniel leaving, and because that offense was very favorable to him with Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel. So is it going to translate to the new scheme? It could, because of, as we've said before, with Malik Willis, the read option. But is the playbook going to specialize that way? Is it going to, because Mike McDaniel very much played to Devon Achane's strengths.
Yeah.
So he has earned that contract and he seems like a really good guy. And, they've been through the change of culture, shall we say, in Miami. The toxic personalities are gone. He stayed, so it says a lot about his character. And yeah, fully deserving that contract. And if it was close, it shouldn't be close. Him and Breece Hall, it should be. He should be way clear of Breece Hall, based on, well, maybe. Please don't hate me, Jets fans, but I don't see them being close. I
It's tricky, isn't it? Because like I guess I'm trying to think of what would Breece Hall look like if he wasn't at the Jets. That's where I'm coming from. But I take your point. I mean, Achane literally is one of those guys that if he's in space, he can take it to the house. And he's an automatic 100 scrimmage yards per game player. Like at least in the scheme that we were watching him in
Yeah,
under McDaniel.
about Breece Hall being on the Jets. Achane was on the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, that's true.
They, they sucked. So, and he still tore up the league. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. But I'm not a huge Breece Hall fan, but I see why the Jets had to do it. But I don't think it's close. Achan, I fully agree. And I wanted him to kind of hit the market. I think he's for a team, you know, a contending team or a semi-contending team. I think he could make a huge difference. So Miami have done well to keep him. He's obviously a good dude, like because he could have he could have forced his way out of there. So
yeah, like watching everyone that he knows basically leave. Um, they they've done well, I think. To We don't know what Malik Willis will be as a starting quarterback, but the prospect of it, that was a good land for them, and it's not come at a high risk either. If it doesn't work out, they're not their future isn't mortgaged with him. So things are moving, I think, in the right direction for them, even if this first year could be a struggle.
yeah, they've done extremely well to just those two positions. And they took a corner in the draft that people like, the guy from San Diego State, what's his name, Chris Johnson or something. He's very well thought of. Yeah, it's all on the head coach and what scheme and the play of Malik Willis is defensive coach, who's going to be the OC and how is he going to work with Malik Willis?
Yep, yep. So the last thing I wanted to just touch on, Paul, the Travis Hunter trade is now complete. I didn't really think about that during the draft because I guess I was thinking more about the Micah Parsons trade. So let me just tell you what each team got in the end. So the Jaguars, they got Travis Hunter. They got Bashal Tootin, who I love.
Yeah.
And they got safety Rayon Lane, who I don't know as much about. The Browns got defensive tackle Mason Graham, running back Quinshon Judkins, another player that I love. Running back Dylan Sampson, don't know much about him. And then they got wide receiver this year, KC Concepcion, who looks like he could be kind of a yards after catch machine. Like he'll fit what Monken is trying to do. So who do you think won this trade when you look at it? And it's I don't want to word it like that. Who would you rather have right now? Because you can't say who's won with so many young players. But what would you rather have?
I'd rather have the Jacksonville situation. I think you thought I was going to say Cleveland, but because Travis Hunter still has tremendous potential to be a superstar. And Conception could be a very, very good player. And Judkins is a solid NFL, at least he looked like a solid NFL kind of running back. Maybe not spectacular, I don't know. But Travis Hunter, if they are just able to play him, just why did you make the trade if you're not going to utilize him on both sides of football? So
he maintains he's going to play on both. So, those earlier reports could have just been off-season nonsense.
yeah, because Travis Hunter, we could look back in a couple of years' time and go, wow, Travis Hunter, he could be like a generational kind of player. But yeah, Mason Graham's good, but Jacksonville could have a superstar
Mm.
in Travis Hunter. And I don't think the Browns have a superstar in that list of players that you named. They've got solid players, but then one superstar against, and also you add in Tootin. Tootin's, so does Tootin equal Judkins? Probably not. You probably edge Judkins in that.
Tootin was so explosive, but what I found with him was that he fizzled out as the season went on. But now, really, I think he's listed as the number one running back
Yeah,
because I don't think they drafted anyone high. They lost ETN, so like I'm interested to see if he can be what he was in the first half of the season. That guy is explosive.
yeah. Conception is very well thought of. So, but he hasn't done anything. Obviously, he's a rookie. So right now, not in terms of what they've done, but in terms of who I would rather have on my roster, I'd rather have Travis Hunter. So I'll Jacksonville side of the trade at the moment. But it's not. It's not. Yeah, we've got the final outcome, as in these are the players, but we haven't. Let's revisit this in 2 years' time.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean the trade was centered around Travis Hunter, but I think I'm gonna lean with Cleveland. Like I quite like Mason Graham. Like I think that in year one, like he showed dominance at least in the run game in stopping the run. So while he might not be a superstar, I think he can be quite a good player. Judkins again, like how long's a piece of string with how long a running back is going to be around? But he showed me a lot. Like he's a violent runner and, in a bad offense. So with Monken, I'm hoping that this passing offense is going to be at least competent. Probably not being Cleveland, but if it is, it could open it up even more for him. And yeah, the kind of X factor is conception. Don't see a superstar, but again, like this could be a good player, um, and it fits what Monken's trying to do. So I'm gonna. It's. I know. I get your point. Like it. In 2 years, this could look foolish because Hunter could be, a superstar by then. But I'm gonna lean with Cleveland. I'm gonna have more lottery picks, I guess, than 3-2.
Yeah, and my thinking with the Travis Hunter is that yeah, you can have three really good starters, like it looks like Cleveland could potentially have, but then you could have one superstar who could change your franchise altogether.
Yes, exactly. That's the risk.
And that's why Jacksonville made the trade. So,
Yeah.
and year one is very much still a question mark to be determined.
Yeah.
So here we go again, year two. Who is Travis?
Yeah, and like you said, I hope that we just see him, be what they traded for.
Yeah,
Because offensively, there were so many flashes, I want to say. Like it wasn't fully consistent, but you saw like, whoa, okay, he made that kind of catch. Like it wasn't just a one-off. Like go and watch the highlights or whatever you want to do. Go and watch his film. He made some incredible catches. I guess I'm intrigued to see his development as a corner because
yeah,
that will come with coaching, being in this scheme for longer, where he can make more of an impact.
yeah, yeah. They made the trade. Now make it pay.
Yeah. So we'll finish off as always. You know, the the best players that we can find that have played for both these two teams. I'm going to spin the wheel and see what we actually get this week. This has been. I'm still waiting for that like hit the jackpot kind of one. Okay, so best players to play for both of these teams: the Chiefs and the Steelers.
Le'Veon,
Don't say it.
Le'Veon Bell right at the end of his career.
Le'Veon Bell, we meet again.
Juju.
I was thinking Juju. I was like, is that the best that we can come up with?
Um, go back a bit.
You know what I'm going to do next week? I'm going to eliminate the teams that we've had,
Yeah.
so that we start getting different teams. Because I feel like we've had the Steelers and the Chiefs before, but in separate situations. Le'Veon's a good one though.
Chiefs, Steelers. I'm thinking like a linebacker.
Hmm. This can't be true. I think, well, if this is true, it's the man of the moment, Mike Vrabel.
I've just seen it. Yeah. I knew he played for the Steelers. I mean, he played for the Steelers before he played for the Patriots. He was drafted
Really? Wow.
by the Steelers, but I don't remember him on the Chiefs.
No, no.
The player as a Patriot.
Exactly. When I think of him, I think of him as a Patriot. But I didn't even know that he played for the Steelers as well.
Yeah. No, he was drafted by Pittsburgh, but
Right.
and then Len Dawson, Dwayne Washington.
Len Dawson, that's going back, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Mike Webster was a Hall of Famer.
Okay. Okay.
He only played 2 seasons for the Chiefs. That was right at the end. Mike Webster, Hall of Fame.
This would not go into the best player category, but Steven Nelson is a recent one.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was hating on the Steelers. When
Yeah.
they got rid of him, talking some crazy stuff. There's a lot of that.
Like, do you forget who made you? Like, he was respected. Like, he was known as a respectable corner at the Steelers. I feel like not not a top corner, but just like, yeah, like he's a good guy. And then he just went off on one.
Yeah, yeah. But talking a load of trash
Yeah,
when he's left. Yeah,
bad luck for him.
that's quite a common theme with players who a lot of I don't know what happened in the city of Pittsburgh under the coaching of Mike Tomlin, how he keeps things under control because when players leave, they talk all kinds of nonsense or they get a podcast and they start talking all sorts of trash. But while they are employed by the team, they are
Buttoned up. Yeah,
yeah.
for the most part. Um, I'm gonna end it on this. He's in it again. Marquez Valdez Scantling.
Where's he going now?
He played for both the Steelers and the Chiefs. He's made it into the draft again.
Yeah, I mean yeah, he was. It was sad times last year when we were targeting MVS, and what was a game where he made that drop at the end?
He had a drop for you. Wow. Because he was on the Niners at the start of the year last year. And, with our injury problems, I think he had a catch in that Rams game. I was like, my goodness me, we're throwing to MVS.
Yeah, yeah. Rodgers targeted him in the end zone, and I remember he didn't make the play, and we lost that game. I can't remember who the opponent was, but yeah, it was sad times. It's like, why are we targeting MVS in the red zone?
Throw it to anyone else.
No, right. It was. Was it the Bengals? I think I've got it in my head. It's the Bengals game where we went down the field with Frymouth and then he didn't target Frymouth. He targeted MVS.
Oh,
Might
okay.
be a penalty, and I think he targeted him twice, like back to back. You're like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
That sounds like the Browns game, how the Browns game ended. Surely he did not target MVS. Yeah, that because the Bengals game. Oh, so the Bengals game, you lost that first one in that crazy shootout on Thursday night.
No, yeah, you're right. It was the Browns because the Bengals game was we took the lead and then they came back to win it at the end.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, Rodgers threw the touchdown.
And then he threw two fades into the corner to MVS when he had, I think it was either the running back or Frymouth underneath, and it would have been a touchdown.
Well, the point was that Frymouth had taken you down the field
Yeah.
and it's MVS. Like,
Wait, against Denzel Ward?
yeah,
Wow. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
yeah, but don't get me started on the Rodgers and his guys. MVS, where did he used to play?
Yeah.
Quarterback. But can't
Yeah.
take Aaron Rodgers. Can't. Was that the play call or did Rodgers change it at the line? We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, good talking to you, mate. We'll be back next week to, I guess, have a deeper look at the full schedule
Yeah,
and, really understand. Well, I'm sure we'll be interested from a Steelers and 49ers point of view, just what our path looks like. But there's plenty of games that are going to be released, like Christmas Day. A lot of the schedule. Week one, always you're intrigued. So, yeah, we'll be back with more next week. And we'll be covering anything that happens in the next week or so. So we will see you then.